The U.S. Embassy gets attacked by, you guessed it, an Iran proxy. When will this end? And Vladimir Putin gets a big win, and this could lead to his eventual winning of the war. And many people are saying that this could lead to him just continuing on and taking over even more land. Give you the details of that here. Also, the United States sends a big message and says no and does a big veto at the United Nations. I'll give you all the details of that in this video. Let's jump right in. Thank you so much for liking these videos. If you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss out on any more. Here we go. Okay, so the United States Embassy gets attacked. The U.S. Embassy, guys, and in Baghdad, struck with 7 mortars as attacks escalate. When is enough enough? Previously, this would have been enough for the U.S. to literally declare war. And it's just, I mean, we've been attacked like 75 times over 75 times here in the last 2 months, over 150 times here total this year. It's hard to even keep track now. This is getting out of control. Take a look here.
Back to this very serious breaking news that we reported at the top of the hour. We are now getting word of a new attack on an American base, this embassy in this case, overseas. We're learning that more than half a dozen 60-millimeter mortar rounds landed inside the U.S. Embassy compound in Baghdad. There were originally reports they were rockets. We're told that there were no injuries, thankfully. Let's bring in Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg. General Kellogg, good to have you with us as always. What do you make of this attack that we're just learning about this morning?
Yeah, thanks, Martha. Thanks for having me. Look, there's a difference on this. When you start attacking embassy and embassy grounds, it's a lot different than attacking, say, Al-Assad Air Base, because there's a policy or an idea that there's the thing called extraterritoriality in State Department language. It's a mouthful, but it basically means you're attacking sovereign U.S. territory. So that's what the embassy is. And when you look at the amount of attacks that have occurred, which is what, 78 attacks, over 30 of them actually happening in Iraq, this is a real assault on American sovereignty in the Middle East. And the concern I've got here, Martha, is that everybody's kind of dumbing this down. It's like, okay, all these attacks keep coming and nobody really gets concerned about it anymore. This is very, very serious. This reminds me of 2020 when paramilitary forces that were supported by Iran attacked the American embassy, and that's when we eventually took out Soleimani. Somebody has to draw a line one of these days in the very short term, but this is much, much different to me than say, an attack on al-Assad, because now they're attacking actually U.S. embassy grounds. That's sovereign territory.
Absolutely. So is Iran just going to keep pushing us and testing us all over the Middle East to see how far they can go?
Oh, absolutely, Martha. This is one of those where somebody has to draw a line and say enough is enough and do something. And it's going to have to be dramatic. The longer this goes, the harder it is, and they need to turn it around. I don't think they're going to be able to do it in the short term until they do something dramatic, and that means probably go inside of Iran, make sure that the supreme leader knows how serious we are, and to knock it off. If people think this is being done on their own, they're wrong. The Houthis, for example, they're not getting those missiles, they're not getting those drones from a local Toys R Us. Those are being supplied by Iran. They're getting their guidance from Iran. Hamas is getting their guidance from Iran. Hezbollah is getting their guidance from Iran. Iran is a critical actor in this, and we need to address it.
Okay.
And who is Iran's #1 ally? You're looking at him. Vladimir Putin, Russia's president. Republicans in Congress are holding up Ukraine aid, and Russia is poised to take advantage as Ukraine aid and Israel aid gets declined by Congress. And President Biden is infuriated by Ukraine impasse, but Republicans refuse to bend over the border demands that Republicans want. And it failed in Congress for now, as the negotiations between Republicans and Democrats are ongoing. Republicans want stricter border security, but it looks like Republicans want to pair border security with aid for Ukraine. Here's what makes a deal so tough. It maybe looks like it's not really the border security details that might be holding this up, but changing the asylum system for migrants is a top priority for Republicans. They want to make it more difficult for asylum seekers to prove in initial interviews that they have a credible fear of political, religious, or racial persecution in their home country before advancing towards asylum in the United States. Republicans in the House have passed legislation that would detain families at the border, require migrants to make asylum claims at an official port of entry, and either detain them or require them to remain outside the U.S. while their case is processed. Biden has shown a willingness to accept tougher enforcement measures, recently resuming deportation of migrants to Venezuela and waiving federal laws to allow for construction of border wall that began underneath former President Trump. The White House also wants to install new imaging technology at ports of entry that would allow authorities to quickly scan vehicles for illegal imports, including fentanyl. Republicans say that's not enough. They want more robust improvements, including more expansive construction of the border wall. Now, Democrats are saying it's tough to do a complete reform of, asylum change here within the matter of a few days. So it is going to be difficult to get compromise from both sides. So we will see. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy said, for example, it's like saying that Democrats aren't going to do the deal unless there's a complete assault rifle ban as well in the deal, which again is a major issue to include in the deal. Remember, Senator Chris Murphy was there with the Columbine ordeal and has long been there through massive, shootings, and has long been there as, a symbol for families when there's been tragedy. So you can kind of see here, we know that the border is an absolute problem here, but if you actually look at what they're talking about here, they're actually talking about when people are going through the border and are just looking for asylum. They're not talking about people coming through and like going through the border and not getting caught. These are people that are going through the border and are going through the system. Okay. These aren't people that are like sneaking through the border and not getting caught. So take that into consideration. Also, the U.S. vetoes the United Nations emergency resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The vote came after the Secretary General used a rarely exercised power to warn of the humanitarian crisis. The United States just vetoed it. 13 Security Council members voted in favor of the resolution. The United Kingdom abstained. Speaking after the vote, U.S. Deputy Ambassador, United Nations Robert Woods said that Washington could not support an unconditional ceasefire, which would only benefit Hamas, saying, quote, "This is not only unrealistic, but dangerous. It would simply leave Hamas in place, able to regroup and repeat what it did on October 7th, adding that it would only plant the seeds for the next war." The U.S. and Israel oppose an immediate ceasefire, which they say will leave Hamas in control of Gaza and will not resolve the fate of more than 100 hostages who still remain in the Strip and in control with Hamas. And as we can see, Hamas, who is backed by Iran, who is backed by Russia and Iran are the staunchest of allies, continue their attacks. They literally just attacked the United States Embassy today, and we're still seeing these attacks on a daily basis. Russia is still attacking Ukraine almost 2 years later, 20 some months later. And it makes you wonder, when will this stop? And this is what Israel says that they have to eradicate Hamas because Hamas has said they will continue what happened on October 7th, their first attack out of the blue when they attacked the music festival. They will continue doing October 7th type attacks over and over and over. This is why Israel says they need to eradicate Hamas and get the hostages back, or else they'll believe what Hamas said, that Hamas will continue to do this over and over and over. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos that come out here every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click here to see the billions of dollars that President Biden just approved, or click here to see why your money may be at risk at 60 plus banks across the United States. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.